So glad you made it. I'm so glad you're here with us today. We're diving deep into A Course in Miracles. And if you're just joining our community, you might be wondering what this course is all about. I'd love to invite you to check out the very first video on this channel, where I break down exactly what A Course in Miracles is, how it came to exist, and why it's been transforming lives for over 5 decades. It'll give you the perfect foundation for everything we explore together here. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt absolutely certain about something, only to discover later that you were completely wrong? Maybe you were sure someone was angry with you, but they were actually just tired. Perhaps you judged a situation harshly, only to learn there was so much more to the story than what you initially saw. We've all been there, haven't we? That moment when we realize our perception wasn't showing us the truth at all. This is exactly what today's lesson is about. We're exploring one of the most profound sections in A Course in Miracles, Chapter 3, Section 5, titled Beyond Perception. And I have to tell you, this teaching has the power to completely shift how you experience every single moment of your life. Here's the thing that most of us don't realize. Everything we think we know about the world, about other people, even about ourselves, is filtered through perception. And perception, according to the Course, is not truth. It's interpretation. It's our attempt to make sense of a world we've actually chosen to see through very specific lenses. Lenses that were designed not to reveal reality, but to keep us feeling separate, defensive, and constantly seeking something we believe we lack. Think about your day today. How many times did you judge something as good or bad? How many times did you react to what someone said or did based on what you thought it meant? How many decisions did you make based on what your eyes showed you, what your past experiences told you, or what your fears whispered in your ear? Every single one of those moments was perception at work. And the Course is inviting us to consider something radical. What if there's a way of seeing that goes beyond all of that? Today, we're going to explore why perception can never give us peace, why it will always leave us uncertain and searching. But more importantly, we're going to discover what lies beyond perception. The Course calls it knowledge, but it's not knowledge in the way we usually think of it. It's not information we gather or facts we memorize. It's something far more direct, far more real, and far more transformative. This journey from perception to knowledge is the journey from fear to love, from conflict to peace, from illusion to truth. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to wait until some distant future to begin experiencing this shift. Every moment offers you the choice between the ego's perception and the Holy Spirit's vision. Every encounter, every challenge, every relationship is an opportunity to see beyond what your physical eyes are showing you. So whether you've been studying the Course for years or this is your first time exploring these ideas, I'm inviting you to open your mind today. Let's question everything we think we know about how we see the world. Let's discover together what it means to move beyond perception into something infinitely more real, more peaceful, and more true. Are you ready? Let's begin this journey together. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Everything you're seeing right now is not real. I know that sounds extreme, but stay with me here. The Course in Miracles tells us something profound. Perception is nothing more than interpretation. And interpretation is always based on the past, on our conditioning, on our fears, and on what we've decided the world means. Think about it. When you look at someone's face and decide they're angry, are you seeing anger, or are you interpreting their expression based on past experiences? When you look at your bank account and feel anxious, are you seeing numbers, or are you projecting a story about scarcity and survival onto those numbers? When you witness a conflict and immediately take sides, are you seeing truth, or are you filtering the situation through your own biases and beliefs? This is the fundamental problem with perception. It's never neutral. The ego, that voice of separation and fear in our minds, uses perception as its primary weapon to keep us trapped in a world of constant judgment, comparison, and attack. Every time we perceive, we're actually choosing to see things through the ego's lens, a lens that was specifically designed to prove that we're separate, vulnerable, and alone. Here's what makes this so insidious. Perception feels real. It feels like we're simply observing reality as it is. But the Course reveals something revolutionary. We're never upset for the reason we think. We're not reacting to what's actually happening. We're reacting to our interpretation of what's happening, and that interpretation is always filtered through fear. The body's eyes can only show us a world of form, of differences, of separation. They show us tall and short, beautiful and ugly, rich and poor, friend and enemy. They show us a world where some people have more and others have less, where some are worthy and others are not, where love can be given and taken away. And as long as we trust what these eyes are showing us, we'll remain trapped in a cycle of seeking, defending, and never quite finding the peace we desperately crave. But here's the really challenging part. We're actually invested in this way of seeing. The ego has convinced us that perception is our protection. It tells us we need to judge quickly to stay safe, that we need to evaluate and categorize to make sense of chaos, that we need to see differences to know who we are. The ego whispers that without perception, we'd be lost, vulnerable, completely at the mercy of a dangerous world. This is the trap. Perception promises certainty, but delivers only confusion. It promises safety, but creates fear. It promises truth, but gives us only projections of our own unconscious beliefs. And until we recognize this, until we truly see that perception itself is the problem, we'll keep searching for answers in a system that was never designed to give us peace. The good news? Recognizing the problem is the first step toward the solution. And that solution is what we're going to explore next. So if perception is the problem, what's the answer? This is where A Course in Miracles introduces us to something truly extraordinary, the difference between perception and knowledge. And understanding this difference is absolutely key to everything the Course teaches. Knowledge, in the Course's terms, isn't what we usually think of as knowledge. It's not information we've learned or facts we've memorized. It's not even wisdom we've accumulated through experience. Knowledge is direct awareness of truth. It's what we knew before we chose to forget, before we decided to see ourselves as separate from our source, before we invented this entire world of perception as a hiding place from love. Here's the beautiful truth. Knowledge is still in you. It's never left. It's underneath all the layers of perception, underneath all the judgments and interpretations, underneath all the fear and confusion. It's like the sun behind the clouds. The clouds may block your view, but they don't diminish the sun's light one bit. Knowledge is what you are, not what you learn. But here's the challenge. We can't get from perception to knowledge through our own efforts. The ego can't teach us how to transcend the ego. The system of perception can't show us what lies beyond perception. This is why the Course introduces us to the Holy Spirit, that voice for truth within our minds that remembers what we've forgotten. The Holy Spirit doesn't share the ego's goal of proving separation is real. Instead, the Holy Spirit uses everything in this world of perception as a teaching tool to guide us home. Every relationship, every challenge, every moment of conflict becomes an opportunity for correction. The Holy Spirit takes what the ego made for attack and transforms it into a classroom for awakening. This is what's called the correction of perception, or true perception, or vision. It's the Holy Spirit's way of looking at the world. And while it's still perception, it's perception that's been healed. Perception that serves love instead of fear. Perception that points us toward knowledge rather than keeping us trapped in illusion. Think of it this way. Imagine you're watching a movie and you've become completely absorbed in the story. You're reacting emotionally to everything on screen. You've forgotten you're sitting safely in a theater. You've lost yourself in the drama. True perception is like suddenly remembering you're watching a movie. You don't have to storm out of the theater immediately, but you're no longer fooled. You can watch the rest with a gentle smile, knowing none of it is ultimately real. This shift from the ego's perception to the Holy Spirit's vision doesn't happen all at once for most of us. It's a gradual process, what the Course calls the journey without distance. We're not actually going anywhere because we've never really left our home in God. We're simply allowing the barriers we've placed against love to be gently removed, one by one. And here's what makes this so practical and accessible. Every single moment offers you this choice. Right now, in whatever situation you're facing, you can ask the Holy Spirit to show you another way of seeing. You can pause before judging and invite a different interpretation. You can choose vision over perception, love over fear, truth over illusion. The transition from perception to knowledge isn't about achieving something or becoming someone different. It's about remembering what has always been true, accepting what has never changed, and allowing yourself to be guided back to the awareness of your perfect innocence and eternal unity with all that is. Now comes the question everyone asks. What does this actually look like in daily life? How do we live beyond perception when we're still walking around in bodies, dealing with jobs and relationships, facing challenges that certainly feel very real? This is where the rubber meets the road, and I want to be really honest with you. Living with vision instead of perception is the most radical shift you can make. It changes everything, not the external circumstances necessarily, but your entire experience of those circumstances. When you begin to see with vision, you start recognizing that everyone you meet is either expressing love or calling for love. That person who cut you off in traffic, that colleague who criticized your work, that family member who pushed your buttons, they're all just frightened children calling out in the only way they know how. Vision sees past the behavior to the call for help underneath. And when you see the call for help, you can't attack. You can only extend compassion. This is what the Course means by seeing innocence. It doesn't mean pretending that hurtful behavior didn't happen or that boundaries aren't necessary. It means recognizing that beneath every action, beneath every word, beneath every perceived attack, there's a soul that has forgotten who it really is. And when you remember who you are, you can help them remember too, simply by seeing their true identity reflected in your peaceful response. Here's what starts to happen as you practice this. The world doesn't trigger you the way it used to. Things that would have sent you into hours or days of upset begin to barely register, not because you've become cold or detached, but because you're seeing from a different place. You're no longer taking the bait. You're no longer believing the story that perception was telling you about what everything means. Forgiveness becomes natural when you're living beyond perception. And I'm not talking about the world's version of forgiveness, where you acknowledge someone did something wrong, but magnanimously decide to let it go. I'm talking about the Course's radical forgiveness, which recognizes that nothing real was ever threatened, that your peace was never actually at risk, that you remain as God created you no matter what appears to happen in the dream. This kind of forgiveness is effortless because you're not overlooking a real sin. You're simply declining to believe in it in the first place. You're choosing to see the truth instead of the illusion. And every time you make this choice, you're strengthening your ability to rest in knowledge, to abide in that space of direct awareness where questions don't exist because truth is simply known. Living beyond perception means you stop seeking because you realize you already have everything. You stop defending because you understand there's nothing to defend. You stop proving because you know your worth isn't up for debate. This isn't arrogance. It's the quiet confidence that comes from remembering your divine identity. Does this mean life becomes perfect in worldly terms? Not necessarily. Challenges may still arise. Difficult situations may still require navigation, but you meet them from a completely different foundation. You meet them from peace instead of panic, from trust instead of terror, from love instead of fear. And here's the miracle. When you change how you see, you change what you see. The world begins to reflect back the peace you're choosing to see with. Conflicts resolve more easily. Relationships transform. Opportunities appear, not through manipulation or trying to make things happen, but simply as a natural result of aligning with truth instead of fighting against it. This is the promise of living beyond perception, a life of increasing peace, deepening joy, and the growing certainty that you are forever safe in love. We've covered so much ground today, and I hope you're feeling that shift within you, that gentle opening to a new way of seeing. We've explored why perception keeps us trapped in fear and separation, how the Holy Spirit guides us from perception to knowledge, and what it actually looks like to live with vision instead of judgment. But remember, this isn't just information to collect. This is an invitation to transform your life, starting right now in this very moment. The journey beyond perception is available to you today. Not someday when you're more spiritual, not after you've read more books or attended more workshops, but right now. Every encounter you have today is an opportunity to practice seeing with vision. Every moment of upset is a chance to choose again. Every relationship is a classroom where you can learn to see innocence instead of guilt. I want to thank you so much for being here, for opening your heart and mind to these teachings, for being willing to question everything you thought you knew about how the world works. Your willingness to learn is already creating shifts that will ripple out in ways you can't even imagine yet. You're not just transforming your own life. You're helping to heal the entire world by choosing to see differently. If this video resonated with you, I'd love for you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our daily explorations of A Course in Miracles. We're building a beautiful community of people committed to awakening, and your presence here matters. Drop a comment below and let me know what landed for you today. What's one area of your life where you're ready to choose vision over perception? I read every comment and I love connecting with you. And if you found value in this content, please share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. You never know whose life might be transformed by discovering these teachings. Before you go, I want to leave you with this. You are not the limited, vulnerable, separate being that perception has been telling you that you are. You are eternal, you are loved beyond measure, and you are forever innocent. That's not something you need to earn or achieve. It's what you are right now, exactly as you are. Thank you again for spending this time with us. I'll see you tomorrow for another deep dive into A Course in Miracles. Until then, practice seeing with love, choose peace over perception, and remember, you are the light of the world. Blessings on your journey home.